Let's get physical. It's Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the physical releases coming to the Nintendo Switch. We're in the second week of May, looking at games from the 11th until the 15th. Retail, low print, and imports, plus our community spotlight where you show off your pickups and potentially win one of these physical Switch games. Before we dive in, I should make it clear that due to the global climate right now, most of the games stated here are very precarious in if they will actually make these dates or not. So keep most of these dates with a pinch of salt by your side. Don't be shocked if they get delayed. With that in mind, Pinstripe is supposedly releasing this week on the 15th. This is a nice little indie game with horror themes running through it. It is a simple puzzle platform game, but one that I quite enjoyed when I reviewed it for the channel many moons ago. My memory is fairly hazy, but I do remember 3 things very clearly. 1, it is a short game. 2, it's very atmospheric. And 3, it's the only game that I've instantly gone back and played again to try and speedrun. I'm not sure I'd pay full whack for a physical of a game that's just 3 hours long, but I'm still happy to see it here. I believe this is a European exclusive, so US people, you may have to import. Not 100% sure on that, but I'll pop links below in case you're up for that. TT Isle of Man Ride on the Edge 2 is due for a release on the Switch this week. This is the follow-up to last year's release, which Juan reviewed and found rather good from what I remember. Obviously, with the sequel, we have even higher hopes, and we're trying to take a look at this for review. Juan is currently stacked with projects right now, but he does want to take this one on for a review if we find the time. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell to perhaps find out his thoughts on Thursday if time permits. That lad's got a lot on his plate right now. BB and Tina Adventures with Horses is supposedly getting a wider release this week. This saw a regional release in Germany, I believe. There's lots of obscure stuff in that country, it's difficult to keep track. Anyways, this looks to be cheap and crappy. But wait, there's more. It seems like perhaps there's a second BB und Tina game getting a wider release on the same day. BB and Tina at the Horse Farm. The only positive things I can say about these two is that at least for hardcore collectors, it's now much easier to get hold of them. Super Kickers League Ultimate is an arcade-style sports game with anarchy on the cards. This football game claims to have no rules, no refs, just get the ball in the back of the net. Sounds like a fun concept for those who were fans of the Mario Strikers games back in the day. However, the quality is going to be very questionable. Published by Funbox Media with a name and budget that just screams shovelware, I mean, who knows? It might be fun, but don't get your hopes up. It looks poor, supposedly out in Europe on the 15th. Alright, let's jump into the low print releases. Red Art Games announced their latest Switch game, and that is Legend of the Skyfish. This is a top-down puzzle adventure game. It has a nice art style, but it does seem to be very average. Perhaps worse than average if Metacritic is anything to go by, as it's currently sitting at 46. If you're looking for a Zelda-style game, you're better off with one of the It'll Do releases on the Switch, which are much higher quality than this. You can pre-order this one now. Limited Run Games have their next Switch game lined up for pre-order, and it's the hotly anticipated release of Shantae and the Seven Sirens. I know this release has a lot of people excited. There are some big Shantae fans out there. This is a 2D action platformer with Metroidvania elements where Shantae transforms into various animals. Lots of personality, great music, and visual style. This game was released on mobile late last year, but is almost upon us on the Switch. We haven't played it, but from the quality that's come before, you can be sure this is going to be a fantastic game. Limited Run will have physical pre-orders open on the 15th with the standard edition as well as the collector's edition, which will net you a poster, a commemorative Game Boy cartridge with a stand, 50 trading cards, a steelbook, and the best thing, a CD soundtrack. And it won't surprise you guys, but both of our executive producers, Dane Wilkinson and God of Resin, chose Shantae as their pick of the week. Our first double. Bam! Something I do want to bring up is the recent announcement of the fact that Streets of Rage 4 is not going to be a limited run exclusive. Nope, Merge Games have a release planned for a standard retail release, which in itself comes with some goodies, but they're also going to give it the signature edition treatment, which is available for pre-order now. Release is planned in the summertime. I wouldn't normally mention this now, but I did personally find this quite distasteful from a consumer standpoint. especially those around the world who pre-ordered with limited run with their expensive international shipping, under the assumption that it wouldn't get a wider release. Of course, we all know that limited run don't have an exclusivity deal with any game. Developers are free to go with another publisher at any time, but the timing is really quite poor. If I'd have ordered, I would have been well pissed off. There are numerous companies involved here, and it seems like no one particularly thought of the people while putting this together. You know, I'm very happy Streets of Rage 4 is getting a standard retail release. I prefer that way more than it being low print. But come on guys, whoever it was who made the call on the delayed nature of the announcement, you know, show a bit of courtesy next time. Alright, moving on to something a bit nicer. Special reserve games are giving people a second chance to get their hands on a couple of their sold out Switch releases. On the 15th, you can have the chance to pick up Gris and My Friend Pedro on the Switch, extremely limited quantities, so if you're desperate for those games, you'll definitely want to set an alarm for when they go live. That's on the 15th. Alright, let's jump into the imports this week. Not a lot to be honest, but if you want to purchase any of them, be sure to use the links below in the description and the pinned comment to help support the SwitchWatch team and get 5% off your order from PlayAsia if you use the discount coupon code SwitchWatchTV. That's all one word, SwitchWatchTV, for 5% off your order and to support your favorite Switch content creators. Dragon Quest X, yes, the online game, is getting another package of all 5 expansions in one. There's not much to say here as it's an MMO, but only available in Japan, unless you do some magic with VPNs and stuff, and even then, it's all in Japanese. Also, AO Tennis 2 is getting a Japanese release this week. This already has a Western release, so no need to take too much interest in this one. And that's really about it. Be sure to check out last week's episode for more tasty imports coming in the next weeks and months. Alright, let's go into the community spotlight where you show off your physicals. Plus, if you get featured, you'll be in with a chance of winning a physical Switch game. Yes, the winner of May can choose one of these games available. Firstly, my own contribution. It's been a while, but I decided to pick up Little Town Hero, the Japanese version, which is out now. Yes, there is a Western release coming later thanks to NIS America, but that's only a collector's edition, and I'm not a big fan of having the extra stuff, as cool as it is. Plus, it's more difficult to hide from the wife. Anyways, this release has English and was cheaper. Anybody else pick this up? Let me know. If you want to pick it up yourself, there are links below in the description and the coupon code if you fancy it for yourself. Alright, Matthew Hutton sent in this picture of his isolation pickups. Some great variety in there, nice to see Langrissa. I haven't seen it much in this series, so I'm worried it didn't do too well in terms of sales. They also got 2 exceptional imports, Onimusha and Romance in Saga 3. Both sit proudly in my import collection too. Love them. Agu sent in this picture of 2 pickups, firstly of The Coma. I actually have this myself. As said in last week's video, I thought it had its problems, but I was in the minority, and I still bought it physically, even after I said that. Plus, they got Knights of Azure 2, which seems to be a bit of a cult classic, although I've never played it myself. Love that artwork though. Michael Wielczewski sent in this lovely picture showing off some great low print releases. Man, that Gorogoa and Donut County art looks so good. Plus, there's some fairly rare releases right at the top, including Death Road to Canada. That was a PlayAsia exclusive, sold out now sadly. And of course, Retro City Rampage, possibly the game that made collectors sit up and take notice of low print games for the Switch. Vast Neon sent in this photo with a very eclectic mix of games. I'm guessing they are American and couldn't wait for the US release of Brain Training. I can't believe it's still not released over there. I know it's not exactly expensive in Europe or Asia, so it might be worth an import if you can't be bothered to wait. Phison is another one with Donut County courtesy of I Am 8-Bit, plus Super Rare Games' Assault Android Cactus. A couple of great games there. Troy sent in a few games including Call of Cthulhu, Wolfenstein Youngblood, Smash, and Resident Evil Collection. A fine selection of games there. Fluttershout sent in a lot of pictures this week, so quickly going through them, they imported the European version of Dead or School. Sadly, Americans didn't get this rough but fun game. Fate Extella, Hero Land in a nice big box, and the star of the show, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? The Asian Collector's Edition, the one that has English. At the time of writing this, it's only $60 on PlayAsia. Yes, $60 for a collector's edition. If you want to grab it for yourself, I don't know, maybe by the time this video goes out, the sale may be over, I don't know. But links are below if you want to check, although a Western release isn't too far away, and that promises to have a better translation, so it's up to you if you want to wait or not. Chucks Taylor sent in a few photos. He's a collecting machine. Firstly, something relevant to this week's episode, Shantae Half Genie Hero. I think that's the only time since the original game that this hasn't been a low print release. Sadly, only North Americans got this one, I believe, so Europeans will have to import. He also got the collector's edition of Deadly Premonition, Coffee Crisis, another European exclusive as far as I can tell, plus these 3 games that all came late in the day. Visipon finally got her hands on Tetris 99 Physical, which includes a year's worth of Nintendo Online. Nice to have that physically. I really need to get back into playing Tetris 99. I was addicted to it when it first came out. Chris Hepburn picked up God Wars. I really don't hear much about this one. I guess it was an early NIS America game for the Switch, one that definitely slipped under my radar. Is it any good? I'd love to know some more opinions on it. Pretty with Horns sent in this collector's edition of Undertale. Have to admit, I've not delved into this game much, but I've been tempted by this collector's edition. I've seen it for a decent price here in China. So tempted. Andrew Kelly sent in a couple of pictures of the Super Epic. Again, following on from last week, I have no idea what this is all about, but I'm intrigued. You know, you get some nice pins inside this one too. Roberto Makoto, I believe, is the first person to send in the picture of Space Invaders, the Invincible collection. Thanks very much for sending in. I'm just happy to see that it's actually a real thing. I guess the price was a bit much for most of you, but you know what? If I could find the standard edition here, I would definitely get it. Sadly, here in China, I can only get the extortionately priced special edition, which is a bit much for me. Also, bravo for the other excellent imports there. I think I'm gonna have to get Katana Kami. I keep seeing it, I keep wanting it, but I'm supposed to save my money. Chris from Cali sent in this little collection of River City Ransom goodness. Someone definitely is a fan of the series, and I don't blame them. A nice little franchise, and I hope to see more of it in the future. Juan, yes, SwitchWatch's very own Juan, sent in these 2 pickups, Songbird Symphony, an obscure release that I have myself. Plus, he got Dust Diver, which, as you all know, is a game that I love. Save Yourself sent in these games. Is there something in the water tonight? That's 2 God Wars in one episode. What's going on? Also happy to see Trials of Mana in there too. Hope that's a success. Nintendo Gamer Gal showed off these 3 games. The much delayed US release of Bubble Bobble 4, Trials of Mana, oh yes, and a new release in Moving Out. Our SwitchWatch legend, executive producer God of Resin, showed off these pickups. Loving that Fairy Fencer F cover art. Reminds me of like the old school Final Fantasy artwork. Also, I've been staring at that Lumines cover art for a while now, and I've realized I have no idea what that's supposed to be a picture of. It kind of looks like an oil rig with like a moon on top of it. I don't know, answers on the postcard please. Punky Dooster once again showed us into his sanctum of his card case. Love the variety as always, from the AAA to indies, loads of good stuff. James Church showed off these games, Fairy Fencer F again, but with a different cover art this time. Which one is which? Is this the limited run or the best buy? They also picked up The Fox Awaits Me. Always nice to see some recent imports. I know the world is in crisis right now, but things like this make me realize it's not quite the end of the world. Another Katana Kami too. Guys, stop teasing me, okay? Joel Parker keeping it real with some bargains found on the game collection. I didn't realize how cool looking that Rad Rogers cover art is. At first glance, it kind of looks a bit childish, but actually, the more you look at it, the more you can appreciate. I also like that simple Cinemora EX cover art, which has little to do with the gameplay, but it looks cool anyways. Our man Alex, who writes reviews for us, picked up Naruto 4. I expected no less, my friend. By the way, American people out there, have any of you seen a US version of this game? I was convinced there was before release, but you know, from my end, it appears to be like a no-show. Anyone seen a US release out there in the wild? Please let me know. Jonathan only got one game this week, Battle Princess Madeline, the updated version of the game that throws away the story and concentrates on its original concept. A daring strategy from the devs, but you know, one that I can appreciate. But that's not all, because I was in love with this photo he sent in. Firstly, of the Super Robot Wars strategy guides. Yeah, they're in Japanese, but they are beastly, full color, and look great from the video clips he sent to me. Sadly, I couldn't download it to show you, but I'm definitely considering getting at least one of these for the series that I love. He also got the soundtrack to the wonderful Octopath Traveler. Anyone who loves music will know that Octopath has a magnificent soundtrack, perhaps the best of the games in the year it was released. Just beautiful. I'll pop links below if you want to pick this up for yourself. Alright, thanks ladies and gents. If you want to send in your recent additions, or perhaps your favourite Switch game, or a game you think is underrated, or maybe your favourite imports, it doesn't matter, just send it to me over on Twitter at SoWhatAboutGame. Please directly message me so I can keep track of it, or you can email it into me at contactors@switchwatch.co.uk. Just make sure you start the email title with Community Spotlight so that I don't miss it. Plus, we have a Discord which we want you to join. Nice ways to talk with you guys, plus you can send your pictures over on there in the submissions section. The link to our server is below in the description. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of New Physical. Special thanks to our executive producers, Dane Wilkinson and God of Resin, and all the others who have joined our membership program. We really thank you guys so much. So which games have taken your fancy this week? Be sure to check out last week's episode in case you missed it, plus a couple of reviews that you may have missed too. We'll see you guys next time, and remember, let's get physical.